Welcome, friends. If your mind has been restless, if emotions have stirred, and criticism has whispered inside you, this journey is for you. Imagine yourself lying back, the weight of the day falling gently away, as though each exhale carried it further from your body. If your thoughts have been rushing like a river, these teachings may slow the current, guiding you toward stillness. In our busy lives, it's easy to forget that calm is already here. It isn't something distant or unreachable. It lives in the simple act of breathing, in the pauses between thoughts, in the way your chest rises and falls. Peace does not need to be created. It only needs to be noticed. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you'd like, post your location and local time in the comments. It's a joy to see where in the world you are listening from. Now, let's ease into tonight's journey together. The resting breath teaches us that our most constant companion is also our most reliable refuge. Imagine the breath as a quiet tide, washing in and out, steady and faithful. Negative self-talk insists, "You are not doing enough. You should be different. You are failing." But the breath whispers something softer. "I am here. I am enough. With me, you are alive." The Buddha often taught that awareness of breath is the first doorway into calm. By simply noticing inhalation and exhalation, the mind steadies. Yet, when we are caught in self-criticism, we forget to listen. The breath is still there, offering sanctuary, even when we ignore it. There is a Zen story of a monk who complained of constant distraction. He wanted to silence his mind completely, but failed again and again. His master asked, "Can you follow your breath?" The monk nodded. "Then rest there," said the master. "The breath will be your teacher." The monk discovered that peace did not come from forcing silence, but from gently noticing what was always present. Think of your own life. How often do you get swept away by inner commentary, forgetting the simple rhythm that keeps you alive? Each time you return to the breath, gratitude arises. I am here. I am breathing. This is enough. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of counting 10 breaths over and over, losing count often. Instead of scolding themselves, they smiled at the mistake and began again. They called it falling into the arms of the breath. The ritual softened self-criticism, turning failure into friendliness. What would happen if you allowed your own breath tonight to be arms that hold you? Could you soften your judgment and rest, even when thoughts scatter? A Zen master might ask, "Does the breath belong to you? Or do you belong to the breath?" The riddle reminds us that life carries us whether we notice or not. Gratitude is simply acknowledging the gift already flowing. Notice how your body responds. When you are harsh with yourself, the breath grows shallow, chest tight, shoulders tense. But when you rest with the breath, the body eases. Inhale opens space. Exhale releases weight. Gratitude fills each breath, a tide of calm washing through you. Imagine yourself tonight sitting by the sea, waves rising and falling. The breath matches their rhythm, carrying you into quiet. Thoughts come, emotions stir, but the breath is steady, unchanging. You whisper thanks. This tide holds me. I can rest here. The gentle guest reminds us that emotions themselves are not intruders, but visitors who come and go. Imagine a quiet house at dusk. The door is open, and guests arrive, some cheerful, some heavy-hearted, some noisy, some quiet. Each one enters, stays a while, and eventually leaves. None of them are permanent tenants, no matter how demanding they may seem. Negative self-talk insists, this sadness will never leave. This anger defines you. This worry is who you are. But gratitude answers, every feeling is a guest. I can welcome it with kindness, knowing it will not stay forever. The Buddha often compared emotions to passing weather. Storms come, skies darken, winds howl, but none remain. In the same way, joy visits, sorrow visits, shame visits, love visits. None are permanent. When we cling to one or fight against another, we suffer. But when we treat each as a guest, greeting them and letting them go, we find peace in the space they pass through. There is a Zen story of a monk who grew angry during meditation. He stomped out of the hall, convinced he had failed. His master met him outside and asked, "Who is your visitor today?" The monk frowned, confused. The master continued, "If anger has come to call, offer it tea. Listen, then let it leave." The monk returned to his cushion, this time treating anger not as an enemy, but as a guest. The storm softened. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you that one emotion would last forever, that you were trapped in grief, fear, or shame? Perhaps you thought, "This is who I am now." Yet, hasn't each emotion eventually passed, leaving space for another? Gratitude reminds us of this impermanence, helping us treat feelings with gentleness instead of panic. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of setting an extra cushion in the meditation hall. They called it the cushion for the guest. Whatever feeling arose, joy, boredom, irritation, they imagined it sitting there beside them. They bowed slightly, acknowledging its presence, then returned to their breath. This practice turned inner struggle into hospitality. What would happen if you set a cushion for your emotions tonight? Could you welcome even discomfort with the calm of a host, knowing each guest will one day leave? A Zen master might ask, do you suffer because of the guest, or because you refuse to open the door? The riddle reveals that resistance fuels suffering more than the emotion itself. Gratitude softens resistance, opening the door with kindness. Notice how the body reflects this truth. When you resist emotions, muscles tighten, breath catches, stomach knots. But when you welcome them as guests, the body loosens. Shoulders drop, breath deepens, hands rest softly. Gratitude itself feels like opening space, letting air flow through a crowded room. Imagine yourself tonight in your own inner house. A knock comes at the door. Perhaps it is sadness, perhaps doubt, perhaps longing. You breathe, open the door, and let the guest sit. You pour it a cup of tea, listening quietly. Soon, it rises, bows, and leaves. Gratitude fills you. I can host these feelings without being defined by them. I am the house, not the guest. There's another story of a hermit who welcomed villagers into his hut, no matter their mood. Some shouted, some wept, some laughed. He always smiled and said, "Stay as long as you need." When asked how he endured, he replied, "None stay forever. My job is only to open the door." His gratitude made every visit lighter. Perhaps tonight, you too can practice this hosting. Emotions may knock, harsh voices may arrive, but you need not fight them. Gratitude lets you welcome each one, offering space, then gently letting them go. Outside your window, the night itself hosts many guests. Clouds drift by, stars appear, owls call, winds rise and fall. The sky does not cling to one, nor reject another. It makes space for all. The teaching of the gentle guest is this: negative self-talk insists emotions are permanent invaders, but gratitude reminds us they are passing visitors. You need not fight or cling, only greet and release. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself opening the door to your feelings. They come, they sit, they leave. You remain the quiet house, steady and warm. Gratitude fills your space, turning every visit into peace. With that gentle hosting, you drift into dreams, resting in the calm of hospitality. The river of feeling shows us that emotions are not stagnant pools, but living waters that move when allowed to flow. Imagine standing on the bank of a wide river at dusk. The current carries leaves, twigs, even whole branches downstream. The water never stops, never clings, never turns back. Negative self-talk insists, "This sadness will drown you. This anger is too big. This fear will trap you forever." But gratitude says, "Like the river, feelings move. I can step into their flow without being swept away." The Buddha often taught that suffering comes not from emotions themselves, but from grasping or resisting them. When we clutch at joy, it slips away. When we fight against sorrow, it stays stuck. The river moves naturally if we trust its course. There is a Zen story of a monk who stood by a river, complaining to his master that he felt overwhelmed by grief. The master asked him to step into the water. The monk hesitated, afraid. Finally, he waded in. The current tugged at his robes, but also carried him gently. "See?" said the master. "The river holds you as much as it pulls. Let it carry your grief. It will not remain still." The monk realized that resisting the water had made it scarier than it was. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you that one emotion would fix itself around your heart forever, like ice? Perhaps you felt caught in fear, or shame, or doubt. Yet haven't there been times when those very feelings changed, softened, or passed, just like flowing water? Gratitude helps us trust in this movement, reminding us nothing stays stuck forever. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of placing paper boats in streams with the names of their emotions written on them. Watching anger, joy, or sorrow drift away, they bowed, whispering thanks. "Thank you for visiting. Now go where you must." The ritual turned release into a simple act of faith. What would happen if you wrote your own emotions on paper boats tonight? Could you let the river carry them instead of clutching them on the shore? A Zen master might ask, is the river dangerous because it moves, or dangerous only if you refuse to move with it? The riddle teaches that change itself is not the enemy. Resistance is. Gratitude lets us float instead of sink. Notice how your body mirrors this truth. When you resist emotions, the chest tightens, breath stalls, arms cross as though damming the flow. But when you let gratitude open you to movement, the body softens, breath deepens, hands unclench, muscles loosen, and warmth spreads. Imagine yourself tonight stepping into the river of feeling. The current tugs, but it does not drown you. Leaves float past, carrying whispers of sadness, anger, joy, fear. You let them drift, no longer trying to hold or banish them. Gratitude fills your chest. I am not the water. I am the witness. I am carried, not consumed. There's another story of a hermit who built his hut by a river. Villagers asked why he never feared floods. He smiled. If the river rises, I rise with it. If it falls, I fall with it. I live with the water, not against it. His gratitude turned the river from threat to teacher. Perhaps tonight, you too can live with your river. Whatever emotion flows through you, it does not need to be damned or denied. Gratitude lets you watch, float, release. Outside your window, rivers flow across the earth, streams carrying rain to sea, tides moving back and forth, currents shifting endlessly. They remind us that nothing is fixed. All things move, and movement is natural. The teaching of the river of feeling is this: negative self-talk insists that emotions are permanent prisons. Gratitude reveals them as rivers, always moving, always changing, never meant to trap you. So as you prepare for rest, imagine lying beside the river. Its current hums softly, a lullaby of movement. Your feelings drift passed like leaves, carried gently downstream. Gratitude settles in your heart, reminding you, this too flows. This too passes. With that peace, you drift into dreams, floating on the current of calm. The bamboo grove teaches us that strength is not found in resisting emotions, but in bending with them. Imagine a stand of tall bamboo swaying in the wind. The stalks are slim, their leaves delicate, yet they endure storms that snap heavier trees. When the wind blows fiercely, bamboo leans gracefully, bending without breaking. When the gusts pass, it rises again, unharmed. Negative self-talk insists, you must resist. If you bend, you are weak. If you feel too much, you will break. But gratitude replies, bending is strength. Flexibility is resilience. Emotions may move me, but they will not destroy me. The Buddha often taught that clinging and rigidity create suffering. A mind that insists, I must never feel fear, anger, or grief, becomes brittle. A heart that allows feelings to move through it becomes supple and strong. Like bamboo, it bends with the storm, and when calm returns, it still stands. There is a Zen story of a monk who envied oak trees for their size and strength. He asked his master why bamboo was planted near the temple instead of oaks. The master led him to the grove during a storm. The oaks cracked and split, while the bamboo swayed and survived. See, the master said, flexibility endures where pride falls. The monk understood that resilience comes not from resisting, but from yielding wisely. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk demanded that you hold rigid, never showing weakness, never yielding to your emotions? Perhaps during grief, you told yourself, I should be stronger. Perhaps in anger, you thought, I must control everything. Yet hasn't rigidity made the storm harder? And haven't there been moments when yielding, when letting yourself feel, actually gave you strength? Gratitude reminds you, it is safe to bend. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of bowing to bamboo stalks before meditation. They touched the slender trunks and whispered, "Thank you for teaching me to bend." During practice, whenever emotions grew strong, they imagined themselves swaying like bamboo, flexible yet unbroken. What would happen if you pictured yourself as bamboo tonight? Could you let gratitude soften your stance, allowing feelings to pass without snapping you? A Zen master might ask, is the bamboo weak because it bends, or strong because it rises again? The riddle shows that true resilience is not resistance, but adaptability. Gratitude turns flexibility into strength. Notice how your body reflects this truth. When you resist emotions, your jaw clenches, shoulders stiffen, spine locks. But when you allow yourself to bend, breath deepens, muscles soften, posture flows. The body itself becomes supple, resilient. Imagine yourself tonight, walking into a bamboo grove. Wind stirs, emotions whisper. You cannot survive this storm. Yet the stalks around you sway, brushing against each other, singing in the breeze. You lean with them, breathing deeply. The gust passes, and you stand upright again. Gratitude swells within you. I am not broken. I am flexible. I can bend and return. There's another story of a hermit who tied a bamboo flute outside his hut. When storms blew, the flute sang. Villagers asked why he didn't protect it. He answered, "The song reminds me that bending brings music." His gratitude turned the storm's pressure into harmony. Perhaps tonight you too can let your emotions bend you into song. Instead of fearing their pull, you might find rhythm in their sway. Gratitude makes space for their music, teaching you that bending is part of being alive. Outside your window, bamboo groves, grasses, and trees bend with the wind. None resist completely. All yield and rise again. The world itself survives through flexibility. The teaching of the bamboo grove is this: negative self-talk demands rigid control, but gratitude shows that bending is strength. You are not weak when you yield. You are resilient, like bamboo swaying yet unbroken. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself standing in the grove. Winds of feeling blow, yet you sway gently. The storm passes, and you rise again, rooted and steady. Gratitude fills your body like sap rising in bamboo. With that calm resilience, you drift into dreams, bending gracefully into sleep. The candle flame teaches us that emotions, even anger, soften when met with patience rather than fuel. Imagine a small candle burning in a quiet room. Its flame flickers gently, giving light without consuming itself too quickly. If one shields it from sudden drafts, it glows steadily, offering warmth. But if one throws dry straw upon it, the flame leaps wildly, threatening to scorch the air. Negative self-talk insists, your anger makes you dangerous. Your frustration proves you are broken. You must put out this fire, or it will destroy you. But gratitude whispers, this flame can light the dark. If I meet it gently, it warms rather than burns. The Buddha often taught that anger is not evil, but misunderstood energy. It rises, flares, then subsides. To fight it fiercely only gives it fuel. To ignore it completely lets it smolder unseen. But when met with patience and kindness, anger becomes like a candle, useful, contained, even illuminating. There is a Zen story of a monk who confessed to his master that he was afraid of his temper. It rises like a fire, he said, and I fear it will consume me. The master lit a candle and held it between them. See this flame? He asked. It can burn the skin, yes, but it can also light the path. You must learn to tend your anger like a candle, not like a forest fire. The monk bowed, realizing that gentleness, not suppression, was the way. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk punished you for feeling anger or irritation? Perhaps you thought, I shouldn't feel this way. I must get rid of it. Yet, haven't there been times when that very emotion showed you what mattered? When boundaries were crossed? When care was absent? Gratitude helps us see the signal beneath the flame, softening judgment into understanding. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of sitting before a single candle during evening meditation. They gazed at the flame, breathing with its rise and fall. If thoughts of anger or self-criticism came, they whispered, "May this flame teach me patience." Over time, they discovered that their own emotions mirrored the candle, sometimes steady, sometimes flickering, always capable of calming when tended. What would happen if you treated your own anger tonight as a candle? Could you hold it gently, letting it illuminate what matters without letting it scorch? A Zen master might ask, is the flame dangerous because it burns, or precious because it lights? The riddle reminds us that anger, like fire, has two sides. Gratitude sees both, guiding us toward balance rather than fear. Notice how your body responds to anger. When self-talk scolds you for it, muscles clench, fists tighten, breath grows shallow. But when you allow gratitude to hold it, the body loosens. Shoulders drop, chest expands, hands rest. The fire no longer rages, it steadies, warming rather than consuming. Imagine yourself tonight in a darkened temple. A single candle flickers before you. Harsh voices whisper, "You are too angry. You cannot control yourself." But you watch the flame. It sways, but does not leap wildly. You breathe with it, patient, steady. Gratitude rises. This flame can guide me. I can hold my fire with care. There's another story of a hermit who lit a candle each time he felt resentment. He would sit with it until it burned out, watching the wax pool and harden again. By the time the flame dies, he said, my anger has softened too. His gratitude turned frustration into meditation. Perhaps tonight you too can sit with your candle. Whether literal or imagined, its flame reminds you that emotions can be tended, not feared. Gratitude steadies your hand, helping you soften without extinguishing what burns within. Outside your window, countless lights flicker. Lamps in homes, stars in the sky, fireflies in the grass. None rage uncontrollably. All glow gently, steadying the night. The teaching of the candle flame is this. Negative self-talk insists emotions, like anger, must be crushed. Gratitude reveals that they can be softened, tended, and turned into light. So as you prepare for rest, imagine a candle glowing in your chest. Its flame warms, steadies, guides. You breathe with it, patient and calm. The harsh voices fade, leaving only the gentle glow. With gratitude for the flame within you, you drift into dreams, resting in its soft light. The empty teacup reminds us that to make space for emotions, we must stop overfilling ourselves with judgment. Imagine a simple ceramic cup resting on a wooden table. When filled just enough, it holds tea beautifully, warm, fragrant, satisfying. But when poured too full, the tea spills over the rim, dripping onto the floor, wasting what could have nourished. Negative self-talk insists, "You are already too much." There is no room for your sadness, your fear, your longing. If you add one more drop, you will break. Gratitude gently responds. By emptying a little space, by letting go of harshness, I can hold all that comes without overflow. The Buddha often taught about emptiness, not as nothingness, but as openness. When a cup is empty, it is ready to receive. When the mind is open, it can hold whatever arises without shattering. Emotions overwhelm us, not because they are too big, but because we have already crowded the cup with self-criticism. There is a Zen story of a scholar who visited a monk, eager to show how much he already knew. He talked and talked, pouring out his knowledge until the monk began pouring tea into his cup. The scholar protested as it spilled over. "Your mind is like this cup," said the monk. "How can I teach unless you first empty it?" The lesson applies to emotions as well. When the mind is too full of judgments, there is no room to hold feelings gently. Think of your own life. How often has self-talk filled your cup with harsh words? "I shouldn't feel this way. I should be better. I must be stronger," leaving no space for compassion. Perhaps when sadness knocked, there was no room left to welcome it. Gratitude helps us empty the excess, clearing space for whatever truly belongs in the moment. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of drinking tea in silence every morning. Before sipping, they tipped their cups slightly to spill a few drops onto the earth, whispering, "May I make room?" The simple act reminded them daily to release judgment, to begin with openness. What would happen if you tipped your own cup tonight? Could you let a little self-criticism spill away, making room for kindness? A Zen master might ask, is the cup valuable because it holds tea, or because of its emptiness? The riddle reveals that openness, not fullness, makes space for life. Gratitude empties us of judgment, leaving room for peace. Notice how your body feels when overfilled with criticism. Shoulders hunch, stomach churns, chest feels heavy, as though spilling over. But when you let gratitude empty a little space, breath deepens, spine straightens, body relaxes. You feel ready to receive rather than collapse. Imagine yourself tonight in a quiet tea house. A monk places a simple cup before you, empty and waiting. You pour tea slowly, stopping before the brim. Steam rises, fragrant and calming. You lift the cup, sip gently, and smile. There is room for warmth. Gratitude fills you. By emptying judgment, I have space for peace. There's another story of a hermit who kept only one small cup in his hut. Villagers asked why he did not own more. He replied, "One cup is enough. If I empty it each day, it is always ready." His gratitude kept his life spacious. Perhaps tonight, you too can live like that cup. You need not carry every harsh word or every old criticism. By spilling a little away, you make space for what matters now. Outside your window, the world holds countless vessels, rivers holding rain, jars holding grain, hands holding each other. Each is precious, not because it is full, but because it makes room. The teaching of the empty teacup is this: negative self-talk insists you are too full, too overwhelmed, unable to hold more. Gratitude shows you that by emptying judgment, you can welcome every emotion without spilling over. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as a teacup, simple, open, ready. You pour away harshness, leaving room for calm. Steam of kindness rises, filling your senses. With gratitude for the space within, you drift into dreams, empty enough to rest, open enough to receive peace. The lotus in mud reminds us that beauty can rise from difficulty, and even painful emotions hold seeds of growth. Picture a still pond, its surface dark with silt and mud. From beneath, a lotus pushes upward, stem slender yet strong, breaking through the murky water. At last it blossoms, petals wide and luminous, untouched by the mud that nourished it. Negative self-talk insists, you are dirty because you feel sadness. You are weak because you feel shame. These dark emotions make you less. But gratitude answers, from this mud, something beautiful may grow. My emotions do not diminish me. They feed my blooming. The Buddha often used the lotus as a symbol of awakening, precisely because it rises unstained from the mud. Without the mud, there is no flower. Without hardship, no depth of compassion. Without struggle, no strength of peace. When we condemn our difficult emotions, we cut the roots of our own growth. There is a Zen story of a monk who complained that his sorrow weighed him down, keeping him from enlightenment. His master pointed to a lotus blooming in the temple pond. "Do you see its purity?" he asked. "It grows from the same mud you call heavy. Without the mud, no lotus." The monk bowed, realizing his sorrow was not a chain, but the ground of his practice. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk convinced you that painful feelings make you flawed or unworthy? Perhaps grief told you that you would never feel light again. Perhaps guilt whispered that you could not bloom. Yet, hasn't each sorrow also shaped your compassion, your ability to understand others? Gratitude reveals this hidden truth. Pain feeds empathy. Darkness deepens light. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of planting lotuses in clay jars outside their cells. Each morning, they watered the mud, bowing as if thanking it. Without this mud, they said, we would see no flower. Over months, the jars blossomed into fragrant reminders that struggle itself nourishes growth. What would happen if you treated your own emotions tonight as mud for the lotus? Could you thank even sorrow for the chance to bloom? A Zen master might ask, is the lotus less beautiful because of the mud, or more beautiful because of it? The riddle points us to gratitude, not for suffering itself, but for what it allows us to become. Notice how your body reflects this teaching. When you scold yourself for difficult feelings, chest tightens, throat constricts, heart feels heavy. But when you let gratitude soften your view, the body opens, shoulders relax, breath deepens, heart lifts. The mud no longer feels like weight, it feels like soil. Imagine yourself tonight beside a pond at twilight. Mud lies thick beneath the water, and self-talk whispers, "You are trapped here." But then a buntu rises slowly, petals unfurling into luminous bloom. You breathe in its fragrance, realizing, from this very mud, beauty is born. Gratitude fills you, softening judgment into awe. There's another story of a hermit who lived near a swamp. Travelers mocked him, saying the air was foul and the ground ugly. He only smiled and pointed to the lilies blooming each summer. "I do not curse the swamp," he said. "I thank it for the flowers." His gratitude transformed what others rejected. Perhaps tonight, you too can transform your swamp into a garden. Whatever emotion lies heavy in you, fear, sorrow, shame, gratitude can see it as fertile ground, not filth. Outside your window, flowers bloom in fields, cracks, and forests, many rising from earth that seemed too rough or too poor. Life makes beauty out of what seems unlikely. The teaching of the lotus in mud is this: negative self-talk says dark emotions corrupt you. Gratitude reveals they nourish growth, allowing your own lotus to bloom. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as a lotus rising from still waters. Mud surrounds your roots, but petals unfold above, glowing under moonlight. Gratitude blossoms in your chest. I am not diminished by my feelings. They are the soil of my beauty. With that truth, you drift into dreams, blooming peacefully in the night. The silent drum reminds us that self-criticism makes the loudest noise only when we keep striking it. Picture an old drum resting in the corner of a meditation hall. Its skin is taut, its body wide, capable of echoing sound throughout the temple. If struck again and again, the booming reverberates, filling the air with restless vibration. But when left untouched, the drum grows silent. It still exists, but no sound emerges. Negative self-talk insists, you must keep hitting the drum. You must replay your mistakes. You must echo your flaws until they drown out every other sound. Gratitude responds gently. If I stop striking, the drum will rest. Silence returns on its own. The Buddha often taught that suffering comes not from what arises, but from the way we repeat and cling. A painful memory may surface, but it fades if we let it pass. A harsh thought may appear, but it echoes only if we keep striking. Silence, like peace, is our natural ground. There is a Zen story of a monk who felt haunted by his past mistakes. Each morning, he recited them in shame, punishing himself as if they were fresh wounds. His master pointed to the temple drum and said, "Strike it once." The monk did. The sound filled the hall and faded. Now strike it again and again and again. Does the sound fade faster or last longer? The monk admitted it lasted only because he kept hitting it. "So too with your mistakes," said the master. "You keep striking. Let the drum rest." Think about your own life. How often has self-talk convinced you to replay old errors again and again? Perhaps lying awake, the voice repeated, "You should have done better. You will never change." Yet hasn't every replay only deepened the echo? Gratitude helps us notice. The sound fades when I stop striking. I can rest the drum. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of sitting near the silent drum during meditation. Whenever a self-critical thought arose, they imagined themselves lifting a drumstick. If they let the thought go, the stick lowered. If they clung to it, they smiled at themselves as if striking the drum, then released it. Over time, they learned the power of not striking. What would happen if you imagined your own self-criticism as a drum tonight? Could you let gratitude guide your hand away from striking it again? A Zen master might ask, does the drum make noise on its own, or only when struck? The riddle teaches that self-criticism is not self-sustaining. It needs our participation. Gratitude interrupts the cycle. Notice how the body mirrors this lesson. When you replay harsh thoughts, muscles tighten, breath shortens, heart pounds with each echo. But when you stop striking, guided by gratitude, the body settles. Shoulders drop, jaw loosens, breath flows smoothly. Silence fills the chest like a calm tide. Imagine yourself tonight in a dim meditation hall. A drum rests nearby, its surface still. Self-talk whispers, "Strike again. Remember your failures." But you smile softly, laying the stick aside. The drum remains untouched, its silence deepening into peace. Gratitude fills you. I do not need to make more noise. I can let stillness return. There's another story of a hermit who carried a small drum on his journeys. Whenever he felt tempted to criticize himself, he tapped it lightly. Then he stopped, bowing to the silence that followed. "The sound reminds me I can choose," he explained. His gratitude turned each moment into practice. Perhaps tonight, you too can bow to silence. The drum of self-criticism waits, but you need not strike it. Gratitude allows the echoes to fade, leaving only stillness. Outside your window, the night carries both sound and silence. Crickets sing, wind stirs, perhaps distant traffic hums. Yet in pauses between, silence rests, vast and grounding. The teaching of the silent drum is this: negative self-talk demands you strike endlessly, replaying faults. Gratitude teaches that silence returns when you let the drum be. So as you prepare for rest, imagine the drum within you, quieting. No more echoes, no more strikes, only stillness. Gratitude deepens the silence, filling you with calm. With the drum at rest, you drift into dreams, carried by the soundless peace of night. The cloud over moon shows us that harsh thoughts pass like drifting veils, never able to dim the true light within. Imagine standing beneath a night sky where the full moon glows. A dark cloud slides across it, muting its shine, making the night seem heavy. Yet after a moment, the cloud drifts on, and the moon glows again, untouched, unchanged. Negative self-talk insists, you are the cloud. Darkness is who you are. The light you once had is gone. Gratitude answers softly, I am the moon. Clouds may cover me, but they never diminish my light. The Buddha often spoke of the mind as radiant and pure at its core, obscured only by passing conditions. Just as the moon's brightness is not destroyed by clouds, our inner goodness is not erased by temporary thoughts. Criticism comes like weather, shading the light. But gratitude reminds us the light remains. There is a Zen story of a monk who despaired, believing his angry thoughts proved he was unworthy of practice. His master took him outside under the night sky. See that cloud covering the moon? He asked. The monk nodded. Is the moon destroyed? The monk shook his head. Then why believe your thoughts destroy your heart? The monk bowed, realizing his worth was constant beneath passing clouds. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk tried to convince you that one mistake, one emotion, one harsh thought defines you completely? Perhaps shame whispered, this is all you are. Yet hasn't light returned again and again, no matter how long the cloud stayed? Gratitude keeps our eyes on the certainty of that return. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual called moon gazing. On cloudy nights, they would sit patiently, waiting for the moon to appear. Each time it emerged, they bowed, whispering, the light was always there. Over years, they learned to trust their own hidden radiance, even when thoughts seemed dark. What would happen if you treated your own critical thoughts tonight as clouds? Could you watch them pass instead of believing they are the sky? A Zen master might ask, does the cloud hide the moon or reveal its persistence? The riddle invites us to see that even concealment proves the moon still shines. Gratitude shifts focus from shadow to light, Notice how your body feels when self-criticism covers you. Shoulders droop, chest feels heavy, eyes look downward, as if under a weight. But when you remember the moon beneath the cloud, the body lifts. Breath deepens, spine lengthens, eyes soften upward. Gratitude lightens you, as though a veil has shifted. Imagine yourself tonight under a vast night sky. A full moon glows, then a cloud drifts across, dimming its light. Self-talk whispers, "This is who you are, dark, hidden, lost." But you wait. The cloud passes. The moon shines again, untouched. You breathe, whispering, "Thanks. My light remains, no matter the clouds." There's another story of a hermit who kept a polished silver mirror by his bed. Each morning, no matter how tired he looked, he bowed to his reflection. "The clouds of sleep cover me," he said, "but the silver is unchanged." His gratitude turned each new day into proof of enduring radiance. Perhaps tonight, you too can bow to your own hidden light. Clouds may come, fear, anger, doubt, but gratitude reminds you, they pass. I remain. Outside your window, clouds drift endlessly, sometimes covering the stars, sometimes parting to reveal them. The sky is never diminished by their passing. The teaching of the cloud over moon is this: negative self-talk insists that criticism defines you forever. Gratitude reveals that beneath every cloud, your light still shines. So as you prepare for rest, imagine the moon in your heart. Clouds may drift across it, but the glow remains, calm and unwavering. Gratitude illuminates you from within, steady as moonlight. With that quiet radiance, you drift into dreams, held in the gentle glow of your enduring light. The listening monk shows us that emotions soften when we give them attention instead of judgment. Imagine an old temple where a monk sits quietly, head slightly bowed, hands resting on his knees. He is not chanting, nor trying to silence the mind. He is simply listening. When footsteps echo in the hall, he listens. When the breeze stirs the paper doors, he listens. When his own heart beats a little faster, he listens. Negative self-talk insists, ignore that sadness, push away that fear, silence that doubt, pretend they aren't there. But gratitude whispers, what if I listened instead? What if I welcomed these sounds of the heart as I would the wind? The Buddha often spoke of mindfulness as deep listening, an awareness that receives without condemning. Emotions arise like voices calling from within. When ignored, they shout louder. When judged, they twist into resentment. But when listened to, they speak their truth and then grow quiet. There is a Zen story of a monk who complained of constant anxiety. "I try to banish it," he said. His master gave him a bell and asked him to ring it each time anxiety arose. Soon the bell rang so often, the monk grew tired of fighting it. He began instead to listen to what the anxiety was saying. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss. Each time he listened, the fear softened. Eventually, the bell rang, less and less. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk urged you to bury emotions or cover them with shame? Perhaps you thought, I shouldn't feel lonely. I should be over this by now. Yet hasn't the emotion grown louder when ignored? Gratitude helps us pause and listen. What is this feeling asking for? What truth is it carrying? Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of writing letters to their emotions. Dear anger, one would begin. Thank you for showing me I care about fairness. Or, Dear sadness, thank you for reminding me of what I loved. After writing, they bowed and placed the letter on the altar. Listening in this way turned emotions from enemies into teachers. What would happen if you listened to your own emotions tonight, as if they were guests with stories to tell? Could you soften criticism and simply hear them out? A Zen master might ask, do you suffer more from the voice or from refusing to hear it? The riddle reveals that ignoring often makes noise louder. Gratitude quiets by listening. Notice how your body feels when you refuse emotions. Jaw clenches, breath grows shallow, heart feels caged. But when you open space to listen, body softens. Breath deepens, shoulders loosen, chest expands as though making room for sound. Imagine yourself tonight sitting in a quiet temple. A feeling approaches, perhaps sadness, perhaps doubt. Self-talk urges, shut it out. Pretend it isn't there. But you sit, still and patient. You listen. The feeling whispers its truth, then bows and steps back. Gratitude fills you. I did not need to fight. I only needed to listen. There's another story of a hermit who listened to the cries of owls each night. Villagers asked if the sound disturbed him. He smiled. They only cry because they have something to say. If I listen, their voices become part of the night's song. His gratitude transformed noise into music. Perhaps tonight, you too can hear your emotions as part of your inner music. Instead of silencing them, let gratitude turn their cries into gentle notes. Outside your window, the night itself listens. Trees lean into the wind. Rivers echo the sky. Stars shimmer silently. All sounds belong, none judged. The teaching of the listening monk is this: negative self-talk insists emotions must be silenced. Gratitude reminds us that listening is enough. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as the listening monk, quiet, open, steady. Emotions speak softly, and you hear them without judgment. Gratitude fills the silence, transforming voices into peace. With that calm attention, you drift into dreams, carried by the gentle hum of listening. The soft pillow teaches us that compassion is a place to rest when we are weary from inner battles. Imagine lying down after a long day, your head sinking into a pillow that yields gently, cradling every curve. The pillow does not judge whether you are tired enough to deserve rest, nor does it push you away. It simply accepts your weight, holding you without question. Negative self-talk insists, you don't deserve rest. You must keep proving yourself. Even your exhaustion is weakness. Gratitude replies softly, like a pillow, compassion supports me. I can lay down my burdens, if only for this moment. The Buddha often taught that kindness toward oneself is as essential as kindness toward others. A heart hardened with self-criticism has nowhere to rest, but a heart softened with compassion finds comfort even in difficulty. Just as the body needs a pillow for sleep, the spirit needs gentleness for healing. There is a Zen story of a monk who confessed to his master that he berated himself daily for not being enlightened yet. He said, "I drive myself like an ox, but still I stumble." The master handed him a cushion and said, "Sit, rest. Even oxen sleep at night. Your path needs pillows, not whips." The monk realized that gentleness, not punishment, would carry him further. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk deprived you of rest, saying you had to earn peace or prove your worth before relaxing? Perhaps you thought, if I stop, I'll fall behind. If I rest, I'll be judged. Yet, haven't there been moments when rest itself restored your strength? When compassion gave you back the energy to continue? Gratitude allows you to claim rest as necessary, not optional. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of placing small cloth cushions not only under their bodies, but also under objects, stones, wooden statues, even pots. They said, everything deserves a pillow. By offering softness to things, they reminded themselves to offer it to their own hearts as well. What would happen if you gave yourself a pillow for your spirit tonight? Could you let compassion cradle you instead of criticism? A Zen master might ask, is the pillow weak because it yields, or strong because it supports without fail? The riddle reveals that yielding can be power, and gentleness strength. Gratitude teaches us to lean into that strength. Notice how your body feels when self-talk denies you rest. Shoulders ache, back stiffens, breath grows shallow, mind races. But when you give yourself permission to soften, guided by gratitude, the body releases. Breath deepens, limbs grow heavy, muscles unclench. Rest seeps in like cool water into dry earth. Imagine yourself tonight lying on a soft pillow beneath a star-lit sky. Self-talk murmurs, "You haven't done enough. You must not rest." But you close your eyes and let your head sink deeper, the pillow cradling you with compassion. Gratitude fills your chest. I am held. I am supported. I can lay down my burdens There's another story of a hermit who crafted pillows from rice husks for weary travelers. When asked why, he said, "Their bodies are tired, but their minds are harsher still. A pillow reminds them to soften." His gratitude turned every traveler's exhaustion into an opportunity for kindness. Perhaps tonight, you too can offer yourself such a gift. Your body deserves rest, but so does your mind. Compassion is not indulgence. It is nourishment, the pillow for your weary heart. Outside your window, the night itself offers cushions. Clouds soften the stars, moss cushions the earth, silence cradles the noise of the day. All around, nature provides pillows for rest. The teaching of the soft pillow is this: negative self-talk insists you must earn rest, that compassion is weakness. Gratitude reveals that gentleness is strength, and rest is a right. So as you prepare for sleep, imagine your mind resting on a vast, soft pillow of compassion. Every harsh thought is absorbed, every worry cushioned. Gratitude cradles you, letting you finally exhale. With your burdens set down, you drift into dreams, held by the softness of peace. The sparrow's wing reminds us that even the smallest emotions matter, carrying truth within their fragile presence. Picture a sparrow perched on a wooden fence at dawn. Its wings tremble as it flutters, light as air, almost weightless. One might dismiss such a tiny bird, but its song fills the morning. Its wings carry it across wide fields. Negative self-talk insists, your small emotions are trivial. That flicker of sadness, that moment of joy, that flash of irritation, they don't count. You must ignore them, or else you'll look weak. Gratitude replies gently, every wing beat matters. Every small emotion is part of the sky I carry within me. The Buddha often taught that awareness of small things prevents great suffering. Just as noticing a tiny flame can prevent a wildfire, noticing a small feeling can keep it from hardening into bitterness. When we dismiss little sorrows, they grow unnoticed. When we honor them, they teach us early, softly, like sparrows singing at first light. There is a Zen story of a monk who dismissed his restlessness as too minor to mention. He only wanted to conquer big emotions: anger, grief, desire. His master pointed to sparrows hopping around the temple yard and said, "They seem small, but they fill the air with sound. Ignore them, and the silence becomes heavy." The monk understood that even small emotions deserve attention, for they shape the music of the heart. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you to ignore small feelings? Perhaps you brushed off a little hurt, telling yourself it didn't matter. Or you minimized a flicker of happiness, saying it was silly. Yet haven't those small emotions lingered, adding up, waiting to be noticed? Gratitude lets us bow even to the smallest wing beat. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of feeding sparrows in the courtyard. Each morning, they scattered crumbs, watching the birds flutter close, their tiny wings stirring the air. As each sparrow landed, they whispered, "Welcome, small one." It reminded them to welcome even the briefest emotions with equal care. What would happen if you treated your small feelings tonight as sparrows? Could you listen to their faint songs, honoring them instead of pushing them aside? A Zen master might ask, does the sparrow carry less sky on its wing than the eagle? The riddle reminds us that all emotions, whether vast or slight, are pieces of the whole. Gratitude lets us honor them without hierarchy. Notice how your body reacts when you dismiss small feelings. A faint tension lingers in your shoulders. A sigh escapes, but is ignored. A smile flickers, but is stifled. Yet when you acknowledge them, guided by gratitude, the body softens. That sigh becomes a full exhale. That flicker of joy brightens into warmth. That tension unwinds. Imagine yourself tonight in a quiet garden. Sparrows flit through the branches, wings rustling softly. Self-talk whispers, "Ignore these little feelings. They don't matter." But you pause, watching the sparrows hop and flutter, their presence filling the stillness with life. Gratitude rises within you. Every small feeling belongs. Each one adds to the music of my being. There's another story of a hermit who kept a small feather tucked inside his robe. Villagers asked why he valued such a fragile thing. He said, "It reminds me to honor what is small. Even the lightest wing carries me when I let it." His gratitude turned fragility into strength. Perhaps tonight you too can hold your small emotions like feathers, light, delicate, meaningful. Gratitude turns them from distractions into teachers, helping you soften instead of harden. Outside your window, sparrows and other small creatures stir in the dark, unseen, yet present. Their wings beat against the air, quiet but steady, carrying them through the night. The teaching of the sparrow's wing is this: negative self-talk dismisses small emotions as worthless. Gratitude reveals them as precious, each one a part of your song. So as you prepare for rest, imagine your emotions as sparrows gathering near. They hop gently, wings fluttering, songs soft. You bow to each one, listening with kindness. Gratitude fills you, making space for even the smallest notes. With that gentleness, you drift into dreams, carried lightly by sparrows' wings into the sky of sleep. The patient gardener reminds us that the mind is a field, and what we tend will surely grow. Imagine a gardener kneeling in soft earth, hands steady, placing seeds with care. Each morning, he waters, pulls weeds, and waits. He does not dig up the seeds to demand they sprout faster, nor scold them for growing slowly. Instead, he trusts the process. Negative self-talk insists, your weeds prove you are a failure. Your soil is barren. Nothing good will grow in you. Gratitude replies gently, I contend my mind as a garden. With patience, kindness grows, and weeds lose their strength. The Buddha often compared the heart to a field. When nourished with right attention, it blooms with compassion and wisdom. When neglected, it fills with thorns of anger, envy, and judgment. We suffer not because weeds exist, but because we forget to tend the soil with care. There is a Zen story of a monk who grew frustrated at his inability to stop angry thoughts. He complained to his master, "I try to rip them out, but they keep returning." The master handed him a basket of seeds. "Plant flowers," he said. "If you tend them daily, they will crowd out the weeds." The monk realized his effort should not be in pulling endlessly, but in planting patiently. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk condemned you for having weeds, for feeling jealous, insecure, anxious? Perhaps you thought, "I should have only good thoughts. Bad ones mean I am broken." Yet haven't there been times when, instead of tearing at the weeds, you added kindness and the soil shifted? Gratitude reminds us that we can choose what to water. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of scattering seeds in temple gardens without knowing what they would become. Each sprout was welcomed, whether flower or herb, weed or vine. They whispered, "You too belong." The practice softened their judgments of emotions, teaching them to see all growth as part of the field. What would happen if you tended your own inner garden tonight? Could you water patience instead of panic, kindness instead of criticism? A Zen master might ask, do you remove weeds by tearing endlessly or by planting something stronger? The riddle shows that healing lies not in fighting, but in cultivating. Gratitude helps us plant wisely. Notice how your body mirrors this truth. When self-talk scolds you for weeds, tension knots in the stomach, chest feels tight, hands clench. But when you tend yourself patiently, guided by gratitude, muscles ease, breath deepens, heart feels open as freshly tilled soil. Imagine yourself tonight in a moonlit garden. You kneel among rows of earth, placing seeds gently into the ground. Self-talk mutters, "Your soil is worthless." But you smile, watering carefully. Days and nights pass in your mind's eye, and soon sprouts rise, green and tender. Gratitude swells in you. I can grow beauty here. My weeds do not define me. There's another story of a hermit who tended a small patch of flowers each day. Villagers mocked his slow progress, saying weeds always returned. He replied, "Yes, weeds return, but so do I, with patience." His gratitude turned gardening into a lesson in endurance. Perhaps tonight, you too can return patiently to your inner field. Weeds may appear, but they do not win when you keep planting kindness. Outside your window, gardens grow slowly, silently, faithfully. Seeds break soil, blossoms unfurl, and even weeds sway in the wind. Nature is patient, and gratitude lets us learn from her pace. The teaching of the patient gardener is this: negative self-talk insists weeds prove your failure. Gratitude reveals that growth takes time, and every day of care brings beauty. So as you prepare for rest, imagine your mind as a garden beneath starlight. Weeds may be there, but so are sprouts of kindness, patience, and love. You water them with gratitude, letting beauty rise slowly but surely. With that quiet trust, you drift into dreams, lying down in the fragrant field of your own making. The lantern glow teaches us that awareness is the gentle light guiding us through the dark corridors of the mind. Imagine a paper lantern hanging in a quiet night, its glow soft, steady, never harsh. It does not blind the eyes or flood the world, yet wherever it shines, shadows ease. Negative self-talk insists you are trapped in the dark. Your fears are endless, and your flaws cannot be seen through. You will stumble forever. Gratitude answers softly, I can carry a lantern. Even a small glow is enough to see the path ahead. The Buddha often described mindfulness as a lamp that dispels ignorance. Awareness does not erase emotions, but it lets us see them clearly. Fear appears less monstrous in the lantern's glow. Shame softens when its shape is known. Criticism loses power when revealed as only a passing voice. There is a Zen story of a monk who feared walking through the forest at night. He stumbled, frightened by shadows. His master gave him a lantern and said, "The path is the same, but the light will help you see it." The monk realized that the forest had not changed, only his vision had. Awareness itself was enough to transform fear into peace. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk trapped you in the dark, convincing you that emotions were too overwhelming to face? Perhaps you thought, if I look at this feeling, it will consume me. Yet hasn't gentle awareness already eased some of your fears, making them less threatening once you saw them clearly? Gratitude helps us recognize even a small light is enough. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of placing tiny lanterns along garden paths at dusk. Each lantern was lit, one by one, creating a trail of gentle light. As they walked, they bowed at each flame, whispering, "Thank you for showing me the way." This practice reminded them that awareness is built step by step, light by light, not all at once. What would happen if you carried your own lantern tonight? One of awareness and gratitude through the corridors of your mind? Could you see emotions for what they are, instead of monsters in the dark? A Zen master might ask, is the darkness dangerous, or only our blindness within it? The riddle teaches that awareness transforms fear by revealing the ordinary truth beneath. Gratitude allows us to trust even small light. Notice how your body feels when caught in darkness of self-criticism. Muscles tense, breath quickens, eyes strain inward. But when awareness shines, guided by gratitude, the body relaxes. Breath steadies, chest opens, shoulders soften. The lantern glows not just in the mind, but throughout the body. Imagine yourself tonight walking along a moonless path. Self-talk whispers, "You will stumble. You cannot see." But then a lantern glows in your hand, illuminating stones, roots, soft grass beneath your feet. The forest feels less hostile, the air lighter. Gratitude fills you. With this light, I can walk. With this glow, I am safe. There's another story of a hermit who hung a lantern outside his hut, even on nights when no travelers came. When asked why he wasted oil, he said, "Even if only I see its glow, it reminds me I am not lost." His gratitude turned light into a constant companion. Perhaps tonight, you too can see your lantern as a companion. Each breath becomes a glow, each moment of awareness a spark. No corridor of thought is too dark when gratitude carries a flame. Outside your window, lanterns glow in homes, stars shine overhead, fireflies flicker in the grass. Even the smallest light changes the night. The teaching of the lantern glow is this: negative self-talk insists you are trapped in endless dark. Gratitude reveals that awareness is enough to guide you through. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself carrying a lantern inside your heart. Its light spreads through every corner, revealing emotions gently, without fear. You walk with ease, guided by gratitude. With the lantern glowing softly, you drift into dreams, resting in the gentle light of awareness. The mountain stream reminds us that doubts and self-criticism, like silt in water, settle when we stop stirring. Imagine a mountain stream rushing clear and cold down a rocky slope. At times, storms wash soil into its flow, clouding the water until it looks brown and heavy. If one tries to scoop it up, shake it, or stir it, the mud only thickens. Yet when the water is left alone, the silt sinks to the bottom, and clarity returns. Negative self-talk insists, your mind is always muddy. Your doubts will never clear. You must fix this mess right now. Gratitude replies softly, if I rest, the water will settle. My mind can clear without force. The Buddha often compared the mind to water, naturally pure but clouded by agitation. Our attempts to control every thought often stir more mud. By practicing patience, we discover the water clarifies itself, reflecting truth without our interference. There is a Zen story of a monk who sat by a stream, fretting about his constant doubts. His master handed him a jar of water filled with sand. "Shake it," he said. The monk shook until the jar turned opaque. "Now watch," said the master. Slowly, the grains sank, and the water cleared. Do you see? When you stir, clarity is lost. When you rest, it returns. The monk bowed, realizing he needed to stop shaking his mind with self-criticism. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you to fix your mind by force, to control every doubt instantly? Perhaps you thought, I should already know the answer. I should never waver. Yet, hasn't clarity often come when you stopped struggling? When you waited patiently? Gratitude allows us to pause, trusting that peace will rise naturally. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of filling bowls with river water and placing them near their cushions. They would watch the sediment sink during meditation. Each time the water cleared, they bowed, whispering, "Clarity returns on its own." Over time, this simple act taught them to trust patience more than force. What would happen if you treated your own doubts tonight as silt in water? Could you let them sink gently, guided by gratitude, instead of stirring them endlessly? A Zen master might ask, is the water dirty because of silt, or only because you keep shaking it? The riddle reminds us that stillness itself purifies. Gratitude allows us to stop stirring. Notice how your body reflects this truth. When you fight doubts, chest tightens, breath becomes shallow, stomach churns as though filled with murky water. But when you rest in gratitude, the body softens, shoulders relax, breath deepens, heart slows. You feel clear, like a stream reflecting the sky. Imagine yourself tonight beside a mountain stream. Rain has muddied it, and self-talk whispers, "This water is ruined. You are ruined." But you sit quietly, listening to the current. Slowly, the silt settles, and the water glistens, reflecting stars above. You breathe deeply, whispering thanks. Clarity always returns. There's another story of a hermit who collected rainwater in jars. When villagers asked why he left them untouched for days, he replied, "If I stir, I drink mud. If I wait, I drink sky." His gratitude turned patience into nourishment. Perhaps tonight, you too can drink sky instead of mud. Your thoughts may swirl, but you need not stir them further. Gratitude lets you rest, allowing clarity to come on its own. Outside your window, rivers and streams run endlessly, sometimes muddy, sometimes clear, always finding balance again. Nature shows us that stillness brings clarity. The teaching of the mountain stream is this: negative self-talk insists your doubts prove you are flawed forever. Gratitude reveals they are silt that settles when you rest. So as you prepare for rest, imagine your mind as a mountain stream. Sediment sinks, water clears, stars reflect in its surface. You breathe with gratitude, letting your doubts settle to the bottom. With clarity returning, you drift into dreams, calm as a stream beneath the night sky. The hermit's smile teaches us that shame softens not by hiding it away, but by meeting it with gentle humor. Picture an old hermit sitting outside his hut in the mountains, face lined with years of solitude. Villagers sometimes come to him with offerings, and he greets them not with solemnity, but with a playful grin. Even when he spills his bowl of rice or forgets his words mid-blessing, he chuckles softly at himself, as though each mistake is just another breeze moving through the day. Negative self-talk insists, your errors are shameful. Your flaws are unforgivable. You must hide or punish yourself. Gratitude whispers, I can smile at my humanness. Even mistakes can be softened with kindness. The Buddha often taught that clinging to shame is like carrying a burning coal in the palm, hoping it will discipline us, yet only scorching ourselves deeper. Release comes not from denial, but from acceptance. When shame is met with gentle humor and compassion, it loses its bite, transforming from punishment into a reminder of shared humanity. There is a Zen story of a monk who dropped a tray of bowls during meal service. Mortified, he bowed his head in shame, convinced he had dishonored the temple. But his master began laughing softly, saying, "Did you think the bowls were immortal?" The hall erupted in gentle laughter, and the monk felt his shame melt into relief. From then on, each clatter of a bowl became a reminder that imperfection is woven into life itself. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk forced you to replay mistakes again and again with scorn? Perhaps you stumbled over words in a meeting, or forgot something important, or reacted poorly in a moment of stress. The voice inside might have hissed, "You are foolish. You are broken. Everyone must see it." Yet, hasn't there also been a time when you caught yourself smiling at a mistake, realizing it was not the end of the world? Gratitude helps us lean into that smile, seeing ourselves not as failures, but as human beings learning. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual called the bowing of blunders. Whenever they made a small mistake, spilling tea, dropping chopsticks, they would pause, smile, and bow deeply, as though honoring the error itself. They would whisper, "Thank you for reminding me I am human." This ritual turned shame into humility and humility into joy. What would happen if you bowed to your own mistakes tonight, smiling at them as teachers rather than punishments? Could you allow gratitude to soften shame into lightness? A Zen master might ask, does the moon blush when clouds cover it, or does it keep shining? The riddle reminds us that even when obscured, light does not lose its nature. Gratitude helps us see mistakes as momentary clouds, not permanent stains. Notice how your body responds when shame strikes. Shoulders hunch, face warms, chest tightens, as though trying to collapse inward. But when you meet shame with humor, guided by gratitude, the body opens, shoulders lift, breath deepens, and even a small smile loosens the heart. Imagine yourself tonight sitting outside a hermit's hut beneath the stars. You recall something you regret, and self-talk growls, You are shameful. But then you see the hermit smiling at you, eyes kind, lips curved, as if sharing a private joke with the night. His laughter is gentle, not mocking. You feel your own lips lift in response. Gratitude spreads through your chest. I can meet myself with kindness. My flaws are not chains. They are moments of learning. There's another story of a hermit who carved a crooked walking stick and used it proudly. Villagers teased him, asking why he carried such a flawed piece of wood. He smiled and said, "It keeps me balanced, and it reminds me that straightness is not the only path." His gratitude turned imperfection into a symbol of strength. Perhaps tonight, you too can see your own crooked stick, your own stumbles, as companions rather than curses. Gratitude allows you to laugh softly at yourself without cruelty, finding tenderness even in imperfection. Outside your window, the night holds countless uneven shapes, branches bent by storms, stones jagged in the earth, clouds drifting in odd patterns. None apologize for their form. All belong as they are. The teaching of the hermit's smile is this: negative self-talk insists shame defines you. Gratitude shows that gentleness, humor, and compassion dissolve shame's grip. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself smiling softly at your own mistakes, bowing to them as friends. You feel lighter, warmer, more human. Gratitude holds your heart as you lay it down. With that softened smile, you drift into dreams, carried by the gentle laughter of peace. The woven cloth reminds us that all emotions, pleasant and painful, are threads in the larger fabric of who we are. Imagine a loom in a quiet workshop, wooden frame creaking softly as hands guide strands across one another. Some threads are bright and golden, shining like sunlight. Others are dark, coarse, even knotted. Yet when woven together, they form a cloth rich with texture, strong enough to endure, beautiful in its pattern. Negative self-talk insists only the bright threads count. The dark ones ruin everything. Your anger, sadness, or fear tear holes in your worth. Gratitude answers. Each thread has a place. The whole fabric would unravel without them. The Buddha often taught about wholeness, not clinging to joy or pushing away sorrow, but seeing all as part of the path. Our lives are not made only of light, nor only of shadow, but of the weaving together of both. When we reject emotions we dislike, we deny part of the cloth that gives us strength. There is a Zen story of a monk who grew ashamed of his grief after losing a loved one. He hid it, pretending to feel only calm. His master brought him a tapestry, pointing to its dark threads. "Would you cut these out?" the master asked. The monk shook his head. Without them, the pattern would be incomplete. "So it is with your grief," said the master. "It belongs to your life's design." The monk bowed, realizing that his sorrow, too, gave depth to his fabric. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you that emotions like envy, regret, or loneliness are stains rather than threads. Perhaps you thought, if I could remove them, I'd finally be whole. Yet, haven't there been times when those very feelings gave you resilience, perspective, or compassion? Gratitude helps us see that nothing is wasted. Each strand contributes. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of weaving scraps of cloth together into blankets. They deliberately used pieces of every color, bright, dark, plain, patterned, stitching them into unity. As they worked, they whispered, "Every piece belongs." Wrapping themselves in the blankets, they practiced embracing all emotions at once. What would happen if you wrapped yourself tonight in such a blanket? Could you let gratitude remind you that no thread within you is without value? A Zen master might ask, is the cloth strong because of its bright threads, or because all threads hold together? The riddle shows that strength lies in integration, not exclusion. Gratitude weaves acceptance through the fabric of self. Notice how your body feels when you reject emotions. The chest feels torn, breath shallow, arms crossing as though hiding rips. But when you embrace them as part of your fabric, guided by gratitude, the body feels whole. Shoulders soften, breath flows evenly, arms rest open, as though wrapped in a warm cloak. Imagine yourself tonight in a quiet loom room. Threads stretch across the frame. Joy, sorrow, hope, fear, love, anger. Self-talk mutters, only some are worthy. But you watch as they intertwine, forming patterns neither light nor dark alone could make. Gratitude rises in your heart. This fabric is me. Every thread belongs. There's another story of a hermit who wore a robe stitched from many scraps, each given by villagers. Some pieces were torn, some new, some faded. When teased for wearing rags, he said, "These are not rags. They are reminders. Each piece tells a story. Together, they keep me warm." His gratitude turned patchwork into treasure. Perhaps tonight, you too can see your patchwork as treasure. Your emotions, even the difficult ones, stitched together into resilience and depth. Gratitude keeps you warm inside their fabric. Outside your window, the world itself is woven. Night and day, silence and sound, stars and shadows. All threads belong to the vast cloth of existence. The teaching of the woven cloth is this: negative self-talk insists only bright emotions are worthy. Gratitude reveals to us that all threads, light and dark, form the beauty and strength of your being. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself wrapped in a robe woven from every feeling you have known. Its texture is rich, its warmth steady, its pattern whole. Gratitude fills you, reminding you that nothing within you is wasted. With that warmth, you drift into dreams, wrapped in the fabric of peace. The ocean tide reminds us that emotions rise and fall naturally, and our peace comes not from stopping the waves, but from trusting their rhythm. Imagine standing barefoot on a quiet shore. The tide rolls in, water cool around your ankles, then slides back out, leaving ripples in the sand. Wave after wave comes, sometimes gentle, sometimes strong, but never one that lasts forever. Negative self-talk insists, this sorrow will never end. This fear will drown you. This joy is fleeting, so cling before it vanishes. Gratitude whispers, each feeling is a tide. It comes, it goes, and I remain on the shore. The Buddha often taught impermanence, that all things, pleasant and painful, arise, linger, and pass. When we cling to joy or resist sorrow, we suffer, trying to hold back or push away the tide. But when we allow emotions to rise and fall, they move naturally, and peace becomes the shoreline that endures. There is a Zen story of a monk who wept often, ashamed of his tears. He asked his master how to stop them. The master led him to the sea and said, "Command the tide to stop." The monk raised his voice, but waves kept rolling. The master smiled. "You cannot stop them, but you can stand and watch. Let your tears be the tide." The monk bowed, realizing his sorrow was part of life's rhythm, not a flaw. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you that certain feelings were permanent, trapping you in despair, fear, or regret? Perhaps you thought, this will never change. Yet haven't you also felt relief, joy, or calm return eventually? Gratitude helps us remember, nothing stays, and that truth itself is a blessing. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of drawing lines in the sand near the water's edge. Each wave washed the lines away, no matter how carefully drawn. As the sand cleared, they bowed, whispering, "All things pass." Over time, they learned to see even their strongest emotions as temporary, like those erased lines. What would happen if you let your own emotions tonight be like the tide? Could you stand calmly on the shore, letting them wash over you, knowing gratitude steadies your feet? A Zen master might ask, is the tide dangerous because it comes and goes, or precious because it proves change is constant? The riddle points to gratitude for impermanence, the very rhythm that frees us. Notice how your body reacts when you believe emotions will last forever. Chest tightens, shoulders curl forward, breath shortens, as if bracing for endless waves. But when you trust their coming and going, guided by gratitude, the body eases. Breath flows like the tide, shoulders open. Chest feels spacious, steady as sand beneath water. Imagine yourself tonight at the ocean's edge. Waves rise, carrying whispers of fear or sorrow. Self-talk growls, "This is forever." But you stand steady, watching the water slide back. Another wave comes, and another, each one retreating in turn. You breathe with the rhythm, gratitude swelling like the sea breeze. This too will pass. I am the shore that remains. There's another story of a hermit who lived by the coast. Villagers asked why he wasn't afraid of storms. He replied, "The tide always returns to calm. Why should I fear what cannot last?" His gratitude made even tempests a lesson in peace. Perhaps tonight you too can trust the tide. Whether emotions surge high or recede quietly, you need not fight them. Gratitude lets you accept the rhythm, standing steady on the sand of awareness. Outside your window, tides shift under the moon, rivers rise and fall. Even breath itself comes and goes. All of nature moves in rhythms, none fixed, all flowing. The teaching of the ocean tide is this: negative self-talk insists feelings are permanent prisons. Gratitude reveals them as waves, temporary, rhythmic, incapable of lasting forever. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself standing barefoot on the shore. Waves wash in, waves retreat, each one leaving you calmer. Gratitude steadies your heart, making you the shoreline that endures. With that rhythm, you drift into dreams, carried by the tides of peace. The bamboo grove teaches us that flexibility softens self-criticism. For resilience comes not from rigidity, but from bending with the wind. Imagine walking into a bamboo forest, stalks rising tall around you. A breeze moves through, and each stalk sways gracefully, never breaking, always returning upright. Negative self-talk insists you must stand stiff and unyielding. If you bend, you are weak. If you make mistakes, you are broken. Gratitude whispers, I can bend without breaking. Flexibility is strength, and gentleness is resilience. The Buddha often compared the middle path to balance, not clinging to extremes, not breaking under pressure, but finding a way of moving with life's winds. Just as bamboo survives storms by yielding, we survive self-criticism and hardship, not by being unmovable, but by learning to bow and rise again. There is a Zen story of a monk who prided himself on rigid discipline. He followed every rule with iron precision, but inside, he grew brittle with judgment, harsh toward himself and others. His master took him into a bamboo grove during a storm. The wind bent the stalks almost to the ground, but when the storm passed, they stood tall again. Be like bamboo, the master said. If you cannot bend, you will break. The monk realized that flexibility, not rigidity, was true strength. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk demanded that you be flawless, rigidly correct, never yielding? Perhaps you told yourself, I must never falter. If I bend, I prove my weakness. Yet hasn't there been a time when flexibility saved you? When adjusting, adapting, or forgiving yourself allowed you to endure? Gratitude lets us bow without shame, trusting that we will rise again. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of bowing to bamboo each morning. They touched their foreheads to the stalks, whispering, "Thank you for showing me how to bend." They carried pieces of bamboo in their sleeves as reminders. When self-criticism struck, they fingered the stalks and remembered flexibility. What would happen if you carried bamboo within your spirit tonight? Could you let gratitude remind you that bending is not weakness, but wisdom? A Zen master might ask, is the strength of bamboo in its hardness or in its hollow core that yields? The riddle reveals that emptiness allows resilience, and gratitude lets us see that gentleness often outlasts force. Notice how your body feels when you try to be rigid under self-criticism. Muscles lock, jaw clenches, breath shortens, spine stiffens as though bracing against an unseen storm. But when you allow yourself to bend, guided by gratitude, body softens. Breath flows, spine sways lightly, shoulders loosen like bamboo in the breeze. Imagine yourself tonight walking through a bamboo grove under moonlight. The wind rises and stalks bow low, rustling softly, never breaking. Self-talk hisses. If you bend, you are weak. But you hear the whisper of leaves. We bend because we are strong. Gratitude fills your chest as you sway gently with the wind. I, too, can endure storms without breaking. There's another story of a hermit who built his hut entirely from bamboo. When villagers asked why he chose such a fragile material, he said, "It is not fragile, it is wise. When the earth shakes or the wind howls, my home moves with it. I remain safe." His gratitude turned bamboo into a teacher of survival. Perhaps tonight, you too can build your inner home from bamboo. Let gratitude shape walls that sway but never fall, a roof that bows but does not collapse. Outside your window, trees bend in the night breeze, grasses sway, rivers curve around rocks. Nothing rigid survives long in nature. Flexibility sustains life. The teaching of the bamboo grove is this: negative self-talk insists strength means rigidity. Gratitude reveals strength as flexibility, the wisdom to bend and rise again. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as a stalk of bamboo in the night wind. You bow gracefully, then return upright, unbroken, steady. Gratitude fills your hollow core, making you light, resilient, strong. With that softness, you drift into dreams, swaying peacefully in the grove of sleep. The silent bell teaches us that peace does not always come from striking out, but from resting in stillness. Imagine a great bronze temple bell suspended in a wooden frame. When struck, its deep tone rolls across valleys, echoing for miles. But when no hand touches it, the bell does not lament its silence. It simply hangs, shining softly in the sun, present without sound. Negative self-talk insists you must always prove yourself, always produce, always make noise to matter. Your silence means you are empty, useless. Gratitude whispers, I am like the bell. I do not lose value when I rest. Even in stillness, I am whole. The Buddha often pointed toward stillness as a path to liberation. Not every moment needs action. Not every thought needs answer. Not every feeling needs fixing. In quiet, the mind hears its own spaciousness. In silence, we remember that value is not tied to constant noise or accomplishment. There is a Zen story of a young monk who grew anxious during meditation, believing he should produce profound insights every time he sat. One day, he complained, "I feel useless, sitting with nothing to show." His master led him to the bell and asked, "Does it cease to be a bell when it does not ring?" The monk shook his head. "Then why do you cease to be you when you are quiet?" The monk bowed, understanding that stillness itself was practice. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk convinced you that silence or rest means failure, that only noise, work, or performance makes you worthy? Perhaps you thought, if I am not producing, I am nothing. Yet haven't there been moments when the quiet of simply being, watching a sunset, sitting with a friend, lying in bed, has reminded you of your wholeness? Gratitude teaches us that silence is not emptiness, but fullness. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of bowing 3 times to the temple bell at dawn, even before it was struck. They honored the bell not for its sound, but for its presence. They whispered, "You are perfect, even in silence." This practice reminded them that they, too, were complete in quiet. What would happen if you bowed to your own silence tonight? Could you let gratitude show you that you matter, even when you are still? A Zen master might ask, is the bell's value in its echo, or in the silence that holds it? The riddle points to gratitude for being, not only for doing. Notice how your body feels when you believe self-talk's demand for constant output. Muscles tighten, breath becomes shallow, heart races as though straining to strike endlessly. But when you allow stillness, guided by gratitude, body softens. Breath slows, chest expands, pulse steadies. You become like the bell, whole and unmoving, radiant even in silence. Imagine yourself tonight in a moonlit temple. A great bell hangs above you, quiet, unmoving. Self-talk mutters, "If you are silent, you are nothing." But you gaze at the bell, glowing softly in the night, its silence steady as the mountains. Gratitude fills your chest. I am like the bell. I am enough, even when I rest. There's another story of a hermit who sat in silence for years, never ringing his temple bell. When asked why, he smiled and said, "The bell rings in the hearts of those who see it. I do not need to strike it for it to matter." His gratitude turned stillness into soundless song. Perhaps tonight, you too can rest like that bell, silent, steady, glowing with unseen music. Gratitude lets you know your worth does not depend on noise or performance. Outside your window, silence spreads. Night creatures pause, winds grow still, stars shine without a sound. Yet all of it holds meaning. The teaching of the silent bell is this: negative self-talk insists silence means nothing. Gratitude reveals that stillness itself is complete, whole, and radiant. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as a bell in the night, silent, unmoving, glowing softly. No strike is needed, no sound required. Gratitude holds you steady, whole in your stillness. With that peace, you drift into dreams, silent as the bell, luminous in rest. The empty teacup teaches us that releasing judgments creates space for kindness to pour in. Imagine a small porcelain cup placed on a wooden table. If it is already filled to the brim with old, bitter tea, nothing new can be poured into it. Only when emptied, rinsed clean, does it become ready to hold fresh water, fragrant leaves, or nourishing warmth. Negative self-talk insists, "You are already full of flaws. There is no room for change. You are stained forever by mistakes." Gratitude replies, "I can empty what no longer serves me." In that space, compassion can be poured. The Buddha often spoke of beginner's mind, approaching each moment as though new, unburdened by the weight of judgments from the past. In emptiness, possibilities appear. In releasing, we discover room for growth, for gentleness, for life to flow in. There is a Zen story of a professor who visited a master, eager to show off his knowledge. He talked endlessly of philosophy and theory. The master poured tea into his cup until it overflowed, spilling onto the table. "Stop!" cried the professor. "It is already full." The master smiled. "So are you. How can I teach you unless you empty yourself first?" The professor bowed, realizing that holding on to too much prevents learning. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk filled your inner cup with harsh judgments? "I'm not enough. I'll always fail. Nothing will change," leaving no room for gratitude or compassion. Perhaps you thought, "This cup is permanently stained." Yet haven't there been times when letting go of a single judgment opened space for gentleness to enter? Gratitude allows us to pour out what is bitter so we can be filled anew. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of pouring out the last drops of tea from their cup onto the ground before refilling. As they did, they whispered, "I let go of what is old to receive what is fresh." This ritual reminded them daily that emptiness is not loss, but readiness. What would happen if you emptied your own cup tonight, releasing judgments into the earth? Could you let gratitude fill you again with warmth, patience, and ease? A Zen master might ask, is a cup useful when full, or only when it makes room to hold? The riddle points to the truth that letting go makes space for new peace. Notice how your body feels when filled with judgments. Jaw tightens, chest feels crowded, breath catches as though there is no space left. But when you imagine emptying them, guided by gratitude, body opens, breath flows freely, chest feels light, mind becomes spacious as a clear sky. Imagine yourself tonight holding a teacup beneath the stars. Self-talk mutters, "Your cup is ruined, always bitter." But you tip it gently, letting old judgments spill onto the earth. You rinse it in moonlight, and it shines again, ready. Gratitude fills you. I can hold kindness now. I can be filled with warmth. There's another story of a hermit who collected broken cups from villagers. He mended them with golden lacquer, saying, "Even emptied and cracked, you can hold beauty again." His gratitude turned flaws into shining seams of resilience. Perhaps tonight you too can see yourself as such a cup. Even if cracked, even if once filled with bitterness, you can be emptied and filled again. Gratitude seals the cracks with gold, turning scars into strength. Outside your window, the world itself empties and fills. Rivers drain into seas, clouds pour into rain. Night empties into dawn. Nothing remains full forever, yet everything renews. The teaching of the empty teacup is this: negative self-talk insists you are too full of flaws to change. Gratitude reveals that emptying judgments creates space for compassion and peace. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as a teacup emptied of bitterness, rinsed clean by moonlight. Into you, compassion is poured, warm, fragrant, nourishing. Gratitude fills you, sip by sip, soothing your heart. With that gentle fullness, you drift into dreams, carrying the warmth of peace within. The stone bridge teaches us that stability comes not from perfection, but from being steady, even while worn by time. Imagine an ancient stone bridge arching over a quiet river. Its stones are weathered, edges rounded from centuries of rain, storms, and countless footsteps. Yet it still stands, strong enough to carry travelers, animals, and carts. Negative self-talk insists, your cracks prove you are broken. You cannot be trusted to hold anything. One mistake makes you weak forever. Gratitude whispers, even with cracks, I can stand. My strength is in my steadiness, not in perfection. The Buddha often spoke about the middle path as something steady and enduring. He taught that our lives are not meant to be flawless, but balanced, reliable, able to carry us across suffering toward peace. Just as the bridge holds others, we can hold ourselves gently, even with our flaws. There is a Zen story of a monk tasked with repairing the stones of a bridge. He grew frustrated because every storm loosened them again. Finally, his master told him, "Stop fighting to make it new. Let it be old. Strength is in the whole, not in perfect stones." The monk bowed, realizing that even cracks are part of endurance. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you that your mistakes weaken you permanently? Perhaps you thought, because I faltered once, I am unreliable. Because I was hurt, I am broken. Yet, hasn't there been evidence that, despite cracks, you carried yourself through storms, still standing? Gratitude allows us to honor our resilience rather than condemn our scars. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of walking across bridges in silence, pausing in the center to bow. They whispered, "Thank you for carrying me, even with your cracks." This daily gesture reminded them that what is worn can still be faithful. What would happen if you bowed to your own cracks tonight, thanking them for proving you endured? Could gratitude let you see yourself as steady, not broken? A Zen master might ask, does the bridge carry less because of its cracks, or more because it endures them? The riddle reminds us that strength is not in flawless stone, but in lasting presence. Notice how your body reacts when you believe your flaws ruin you. Chest caves in, shoulders droop, knees feel weak, as though unable to support your own weight. But when gratitude guides you, body feels steady. Spine straightens, feet root firmly, breath flows evenly, like water beneath a bridge. Imagine yourself tonight standing on an old stone bridge under moonlight. Self-talk whispers, "You are too cracked to hold anything." But you place your hand on the stones, feeling their cool strength. They have carried countless lives, and they still hold. Gratitude swells in you. I too am strong, even with cracks. I too can carry myself forward. There's another story of a hermit who lived near a broken bridge. Villagers avoided it, fearing collapse. But the hermit crossed it daily, smiling. "It creaks, yes," he said, "but it has not fallen." Isn't that proof of its strength? His gratitude turned fragility into a lesson in trust. Perhaps tonight, you too can see your cracks as creaks of life, not failures. Gratitude allows you to step onto yourself with trust, knowing you can carry what matters. Outside your window, bridges stand across rivers, roads, and valleys, weathered but unbroken, still serving their purpose. Nature itself honors endurance over flawlessness. The teaching of the stone bridge is this: negative self-talk insists your cracks mean collapse. Gratitude reveals your steadiness endures storms, and cracks prove survival. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as a stone bridge beneath the night sky. Water flows gently below, stars reflect above, and though cracks line your stones, you stand strong, steady, faithful. Gratitude fills you, reminding you that you endure. With that strength, you drift into dreams, crossing into the quiet river of sleep. The paper lantern teaches us that fragility can carry light, and gentleness can illuminate more than force ever could. Imagine a lantern made of thin rice paper, frame delicate, light glowing softly from within. It sways in the evening breeze, fragile enough to tear at a touch, yet strong enough to brighten the darkness for those who walk nearby. Negative self-talk insists, "You are too fragile to matter." Your softness is weakness. Your vulnerability proves you cannot shine. Gratitude whispers, "Even fragile paper holds light. My vulnerability is the lantern that carries my glow into the world." The Buddha often spoke of compassion as light. He explained that gentleness, though delicate, pierces through darkness in ways harshness never can. Like the lantern, our tender hearts are not proof of weakness, but vessels for illumination. There is a Zen story of a monk who feared his sensitivity. He wept at suffering, trembled during storms, and felt every emotion deeply. Ashamed, he confessed to his master. The master handed him a paper lantern and lit it. "It may tear in the wind," he said, "yet tonight it lights our path. Would you rather carry a stone that shines nothing?" The monk bowed, realizing his fragility was the very quality that let him carry compassion. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you that being sensitive makes you unworthy, too emotional, too weak? Perhaps you thought, "If I were harder, I'd be stronger." Yet hasn't your tenderness also allowed you to comfort others, to notice beauty, to love deeply? Gratitude helps us honor the lantern within, fragile yet luminous. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of releasing floating lanterns onto rivers at night. Each lantern drifted gently, glowing in the dark water. As they watched them fade downstream, they whispered, "Fragile light still guides the night." It reminded them that even fleeting gentleness carries lasting meaning. What would happen if you allowed your own fragility tonight to be a lantern instead of a flaw? Could gratitude let you see your vulnerability as light shining quietly through thin paper? A Zen master might ask, "Is the lantern's strength in its paper or in the light it carries?" The riddle points us to gratitude for the glow within, not the shell outside. Notice how your body reacts when you believe fragility is weakness. Shoulders hunch, arms cross protectively, breath shortens as though bracing against harm. But when you allow gratitude to honor fragility, body softens. Shoulders drop, chest opens, breath deepens. You feel like a lantern glowing warmly, delicate yet steady. Imagine yourself tonight holding a paper lantern under the stars. Self-talk mutters, "You are too fragile to matter." But the lantern glows in your hand, light spilling into the darkness, guiding your steps. Gratitude fills you. My softness is not shame. It is my gift. Even fragile, I shine. There's another story of a hermit who made lanterns for villagers. When storms tore them, he patched them with new paper, lighting them again. The light was never gone, he said. Only the cover needed care. His gratitude turned fragility into resilience. Perhaps tonight you too can see your fragility as something to care for tenderly, not to condemn. Gratitude lets you mend your paper when it tears and keep the light glowing. Outside your window, stars shine, fireflies flicker, candles burn, and lanterns glow in homes. Each light fragile, yet each bright enough to pierce darkness. The teaching of the paper lantern is this: negative self-talk insists fragility is failure. Gratitude reveals fragility as the vessel of compassion, carrying light into the night. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as a lantern glowing softly in the darkness. Your frame may be thin, but your light warms the night. Gratitude holds you steady, letting your glow reach far. With that gentle illumination, you drift into dreams, a lantern of peace floating through the quiet night. The falling leaf teaches us that letting go is not loss, but part of life's quiet rhythm of renewal. Imagine a tree in autumn, branches golden, air crisp with the scent of change. One leaf loosens, spins slowly through the air, landing gently on the earth. It does not cling to the branch, nor mourn its fall. It simply drifts, part of the cycle that makes room for spring to come. Negative self-talk insists, if you let go, you lose everything. If you release this emotion, this past, this control, you will be empty. Gratitude whispers, letting go is natural. In releasing, I make space for peace to grow. The Buddha often spoke of non-attachment as freedom. He explained that clinging to what must change only creates suffering. Just as trees release leaves in their season, we too are called to let go of what has finished its time. In gratitude, the act of release becomes gentle, not forced. There is a Zen story of a monk who clung to grief long after a loss. His master pointed to a tree shedding leaves. "See how it lets go?" he said. If the tree clung, new life could never come. The monk watched leaves fall until his tears softened into acceptance. He realized his grief would always be part of him, but release would let him breathe again. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk told you that letting go means failure, weakness, or betrayal? Perhaps you thought, if I stop holding on, I dishonor what mattered. If I release this self-criticism, I'll lose my drive. Yet, hasn't there been a time when letting go brought relief, space, or even renewal? Gratitude shows us that release is not erasure. It is opening the hand so peace can enter. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of writing worries on dry leaves and letting the wind carry them away. As the leaves drifted, they bowed, whispering, "Thank you for teaching me. Now I let you go." This ritual reminded them that holding tightly was unnecessary. Nature itself teaches us release. What would happen if you let one of your burdens fall like a leaf tonight? Could gratitude help you open your hand, trusting that letting go is part of life's cycle? A Zen master might ask, does the tree mourn the leaf or rejoice in the space for spring? The riddle points to gratitude for endings that make beginnings possible. Notice how your body feels when you cling. Jaw locks, shoulders tighten, fingers curl as if gripping invisible weight. But when you practice letting go, guided by gratitude, body eases. Hands unclench, breath deepens, chest expands. You feel lighter, like branches relieved of old leaves. Imagine yourself tonight beneath a great tree under autumn moonlight. Self-talk mutters, "If you let go, you will be empty." But a leaf detaches, drifting gracefully down. You reach out, letting it rest in your palm, then release it to the wind. Gratitude rises within. I am not empty when I let go. I am open. There's another story of a hermit who swept fallen leaves each morning. Villagers asked why, since more would always fall. He said, "Each sweep is practice. I do not control the leaves, only my letting go." His gratitude turned a daily task into freedom. Perhaps tonight, you too can sweep gently in your heart, releasing what is ready to fall. Gratitude assures you that what remains will be enough, and what returns will be fresh. Outside your window, leaves fall silently, rivers flow, clouds drift. Everything moving, everything letting go in its season. Nothing clings forever. All flows naturally. The teaching of the falling leaf is this: negative self-talk insists letting go is loss. Gratitude reveals aisur, release, as renewal, making space for peace and growth. So as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself as a tree beneath the night sky. Leaves loosen and fall gently, each one a burden released. Branches feel lighter, air clearer, heart spacious. Gratitude holds you steady, reminding you that release is part of renewal. With that lightness, you drift into dreams, carried by falling leaves into the quiet of peace. The open sky teaches us that beneath every cloud of self-criticism lies vastness, boundless and unshaken. Imagine standing in a wide field, looking up at the heavens stretching endlessly above. Some days, the sky is blue and clear. Other days, it is crowded with storm clouds. Yet no matter how dark or heavy the clouds appear, they never harm the sky. They pass, always. The sky remains open, vast, untouchable. Negative self-talk insists, you are nothing but your clouds, your flaws, your fears, your mistakes. You are dark and heavy forever. Gratitude replies softly, I am not only the clouds. I am the open sky that holds them all. The Buddha often taught that awareness is vast like the sky. Thoughts and emotions are clouds drifting across it, sometimes thick and stormy, sometimes light and fleeting. But the sky itself, our deeper nature, remains wide and free. Gratitude helps us rest in this spaciousness, no longer trapped by every passing cloud. There is a Zen story of a monk who grew terrified of his thoughts. They are too dark, he confessed. His master pointed to the sky. Can you stain it? The monk shook his head. "Even the darkest storm cannot harm its vastness," said the master. The monk bowed, realizing that his thoughts were clouds, not his whole being. Think about your own life. How often has self-talk convinced you that you are your flaws alone? Perhaps you thought, because I feel envy, I am nothing but envy. Because I made a mistake, I am only failure. Yet, hasn't there been a moment when you felt bigger than those thoughts, like a breath of fresh air, reminding you that you are more? Gratitude shows us that identity is not a single cloud, but the whole sky. Some monks practiced a quirky ritual of lying on their backs in temple courtyards, staring at clouds drifting by. Each time a cloud passed, they whispered, "Thank you for moving on." This ritual helped them remember that no thought or feeling was permanent. What would happen if you gazed at your inner sky tonight, watching your self-criticisms drift across without clinging to them? Could gratitude help you rest in the space beneath, vast and steady? A Zen master might ask, is the sky smaller because of clouds, or infinite regardless of them? The riddle points to gratitude for the boundlessness within us, never diminished by temporary storms. Notice how your body feels when you believe you are only your flaws. Chest tightens, breath grows shallow, body curls as though shrinking beneath clouds. But when you imagine yourself as the sky, guided by gratitude, body opens, shoulders spread, breath deepens, and a sense of space fills your chest, vast and light. Imagine yourself tonight lying in a field under the night sky. Clouds drift across the moon, shadows move over the grass. Self-talk whispers, "These clouds are who you are." But as you gaze upward, you see the vastness, infinite and calm. Gratitude swells inside. I am more than the clouds. I am the scut that holds them all. There's another story of a hermit who lived in the mountains, often shrouded by fog. Villagers asked if he ever grew lonely in the gray. He smiled and said, "The sky is always there, even when I cannot see it. That is enough." His gratitude made even fog a reminder of hidden vastness. Perhaps tonight, you too can trust the vastness, even when clouds of doubt or shame linger. Gratitude teaches that storms pass, but the sky remains. Outside your window, night stretches wide, stars shimmer, and clouds drift slowly. The sky holds it all without strain. The teaching of the open sky is this: negative self-talk insists you are only the clouds. Gratitude reveals you are the vastness holding them, unbroken, infinite, free. So as you prepare for final rest tonight, imagine yourself as the open sky, vast, steady, radiant. Clouds drift, storms pass, but your spaciousness remains untouched. Gratitude fills you like starlight, reminding you of your boundless peace. With that infinite calm, you drift into dreams, snow wide above and within. And now, as the journey of these stories draws to a close, the pace grows slower, softer, like twilight deepening into night. Breathe gently, letting each exhale stretch longer, like ripples fading on a still pond. The mind begins to quiet, thoughts settling like leaves drifting to the earth. Remember the lantern that glowed without judgment, the bridge that carried even with cracks, the bamboo that swayed yet never broke, and the sky that held every cloud. Each story has been a reminder that you, too, are more than your doubts. You are vast, steady, resilient, and luminous, even when self-criticism tries to cloud your view. Feel how each breath clears a little more space inside you. Your body grows heavier, yet lighter, resting in gratitude. Shoulders sink into the bed, hands relax, jaw softens. You are being carried now, not by effort, but by release. In this stillness, know that emotions may visit, but they are not who you are. They pass like waves, like sparrows' wings, like clouds across the sky. What remains is your open heart, your boundless awareness, your peace. Gratitude is the thread holding it all together, weaving even difficult moments into wholeness. As your breath slows, imagine yourself lying beneath an infinite sky, stars glimmering softly, clouds drifting gently by. You feel calm, held by the vastness above and within. Every worry slips away like a leaf on a quiet stream. Peace is here. It always has been. And now, it is yours to rest in. Sweet dreams.